So it was quite an amazing year. We did a lot of reflecting about who we are as an organization and kind of pulled together, where we want to go from here, and um, worked on finishing up the Faway School. We built the Faway School, which is up in Kabbalah. It's an all-girls school that we funded. We got funding from a former Peace Corps volunteer to build 3 new classrooms and refurbish several of the classrooms that had become pretty dilapidated, and repaired the water system. So this school is right in Kabbalah, but it was just a pleasure to visit this school in October when we were there. We've also, worked hard on trying to build our library programs and our after-school reading programs, as well as, continuing to sponsor teachers with the distance learning program that's held by the Ministry of Education. And this is the first step that teachers need to do to either become certified or increase their certification and make them eligible to receive a PIN code, which is their key to getting paid by the Ministry of Education. So, and we continue to have a strong commitment to girls and keeping girls in school. We were able to purchase about 60 bikes that some of them still need to be delivered, but we're giving those mostly to the girls so that they can have more safe means of transportation to and from school, and then also continuing to build on our sexual reproductive health education program through Women Talk, and make sure that every girl going to school has a reusable, sustainable menstruation kit so that they can go to school every day. You go to the next slide there, Allison. So mission and vision of Schools for Salone is advancing quality education in Sierra Leone through local partnerships. And then our vision is a Sierra Leone where good education is a normal part of every child's life. And we work towards this with through 3 key program pillars, which is fostering education access, advancing education quality, and promoting education equity. Here's a map of where our schools are. So it's a little difficult to see, but you can see the schools are kind of scattered. There's a few in the western area, a few now up in the Kabbalah area, in the Tonkalili district in the center of the country, and then kind of scattered mostly around Bow and south of Bow. And to date, well, now with Faway, since we finished Faway, but now we've just finished the Messiah School, which was our 44th school, and we've constructed 5 libraries. We have approximately 15,000 students now that are enrolled throughout all of our different schools. And for every school, we do our best to make sure that they have a water well, whether that means building a water well or access to safe drinking water. So whether that's building a water well, doing rainwater collection systems, or some of them have kind of a pumping system where they pump the water up and it's held into a tank. And then every school, we always build the latrines as well. Advancing education quality, we are teaching, we have about 510 teachers that we've trained so far. And promoting education equity is, I think, Women Talk has distributed over 46,000 menstrual hygiene kits since they started. And over 23,600 students have received this sexual reproductive health education through them. Our partner organizations are Program for Children, which is headed by a man, Joseph Lamine, who was one of my close friends when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Sierra Leone in the mid-1980s. So he is still the executive director of Program for Children, and we partner with them to provide the students, most of the student scholarships, a lot of the teacher sponsorships, as well as, the learning materials and construction for schools in the South. And then in the North, we partner with Clinton Calker, who's a longtime friend, and Salifu Mansouri and SKA Ventures, which is a construction firm that works up in that area. And the Sierra Leone Book Trust, and that's Sally Yu, the executive director in the middle of this photo. He has worked in libraries in Sierra Leone for many, many years, and started the Sierra Leone Book Trust after retiring from the Sierra Leone Library Board. And so we partner with him to do in-school libraries, as well as to do librarian training in our several community libraries that we help support. Women Talk is our the small but mighty, amazing group of women that make the menstruation kits. They're Days for Girls, reusable, sustainable menstruation kits. And then they also do the reproductive health education in the Kabbalah area, Tonkalili, and Western areas. And they're just the most amazing group of women. Those of you who have been there have met some of them. And again, every time I go, they always just inspire me. So we'll be seeing them in about a week. And then the Learning Foundation is another NGO that focuses on reading clubs and literacy programs and, kind of early reading. So we work with them for after school reading clubs, library training, and making sure that working with kids in the classrooms and the teachers in the classrooms. Any questions on that?
I had one question, Cindy.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
many schools do most schools have already some sort of a library, even when it's like a library case or a library room, or is it only a few schools? How long has that program gone on?
We have 3 schools that we partner with the Sierra Leone Book Trust to provide what's called the Inspiring Readers program. And that school, or that program, provides through funding, it's about $5,000 to $6,000 to start it. They provide a cabinet with lots and lots of books, and then they'll go in and work with the teachers on teaching kids how to read using the books in the schools. The Learning Foundation is working, they do more at schools in Freetown, but then they're working more in the classroom with teachers and teaching, doing kind of trainings, bringing teachers together, and then really working on helping the teachers learn how to do early literacy. So that it's a little bit different focus, but different. And so no, not all the schools, we haven't been able to fund that at this point for all the schools, but some of them, we have 3 that are doing the Inspiring Readers. And then I don't know, Allison, if you know off the top of your head how many schools that the Learning Foundation is working in. I would say at least 15 now, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say between 15 and 20 schools, the Learning Foundation is doing literacy work, which is significant. Yeah.
Right. And that's of course the schools that School of Salone have started, but I would imagine they do other schools as well, right? So we're just partnering with them. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to say the schools in the Freetown area where they're doing the remedial after school reading classes are not, schools that we constructed.
Right.
So,
Right. But they
we're helping to support that.
it, and so you partner. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So pillar 1 is the education access. And over this last year, again, this is focusing on just this last year that Schools for Salone was able to help facilitate in Sierra Leone, was building the vocational school for girls, and that was opened. And then we Also had at the beginning of the year 2 primary schools under construction, which is the Messiah School, which we just completed, and we'll be opening up a week from Friday. Actually, Allison and I will be there. And then we have the Pentagon School that is currently under construction. That's being funded and spearheaded by Enrique and Michael Owen and their community of family and friends. So it's been quite an amazing process to watch the schools start coming together. And we also kind of refurbished and repaired 16 different classrooms in one of our libraries, community libraries, the one in Momboma, and provided 60 bikes. The last 20 are still not in storage, but at the office in Bow, the Program for Children office, and we're hoping that we can get those out to the 2 junior secondary schools, hopefully in the coming weeks. We've been sponsoring 106 students, including 13 college students, and had 5 college students graduate in December. We've been supporting for a long time.
Yeah, great.
So we're continuing to collaborate on the bicycles with the Village Bicycle Project, and they're an organization based here in Salt Lake City, but they have partners on the ground in Sierra Leone that are very involved with the whole bicycle world. And there's actually a huge Tour de Lunzar going on this week, we learned, and it's this official pretty big bicycle race that's going on. But we're looking forward to meeting that team and hopefully being able to do more collaboration with them to get more bikes in the school, in the hands of especially the girls in our school in this coming year. And then, having a bike for a girl is a big deal because a lot of times girls are most vulnerable going to and from school. And so the bicycle helps to increase their safety and being able to get back and forth from home to school. Challenges on the ground are rising prices and inflation continue to be our biggest challenges to help support our partners and the programs that we're doing. And as historically, it's still often the girls out in the rural areas that have that are most difficult to keep in school. So we're really trying to focus our resources on what do girls need so that they can continue to stay in school. And right now, our main thing are the menstruation kits, reproductive health education, and now the bicycles. So we're hoping that we'll, hear more good stories and learn more when we're there next week. Pillar 2 is our quality education, and we have had in this last year we had 135 teachers that received literacy training. 427 students and 19 teachers that participated in the reading club. So this would be what the Learning Foundation is doing in Freetown mostly. And we got a grant to start a pilot project with some tablets, which we're really excited to learn more about and see how that's going. And we had over 12,000 visits to our community libraries, and we've delivered over 8,000 books. And then we sponsored 89 teachers to participate in the Ministry of Education's distance learning. So here we had our primary, in Sierra Leone, students need to sit for exams to pass or to advance from primary school to junior secondary school, and from junior secondary school to senior secondary school, and then after senior secondary school. So we're just starting to work on collecting the data, and it's been a little challenging, but we have been seeing that at least for class 6, the primary school students had an increase of 13% over the previous year for exam rates or pass rates. And it looks like, I mean, the junior and senior secondary school students had about 100% pass rate. So we're really proud of that. And again, just collecting the data is kind of a challenge in Sierra Leone, and it's we're trying to not make it more work for the teachers, but to you know, collect and gather the information they are already required to submit to the Ministry of Education. So, and it's just been wonderful having Allison here to kind of help with all of that, because it's a lot of data and numbers to kind of sift through to kind of look at what's going on and try to help the data tell the stories. And our pillar 3 is the education equity, again, getting girls in school and keeping them there. And so we distributed our partners 1,464 menstrual kits. And we also gave almost 2,000 to the boys because the boys were feeling left out. And so Women Talk said, you know, Cindy, we need to give something to the boys as well, because, you know, their bodies are going through all these changes. And, you know, we definitely do the reproductive health education for the boys and the girls. So, you know, the boys saw the girls getting these menstruation kits and they wanted something too. So we have added that. And of course, the boys love getting, I think they get a new pair of boxers and some soap and a toothbrush or something like that. And then again, student scholarships is one of the biggest ways that we can help make sure that students stay in school. And so at this point, currently about 74% of our students are girls that we sponsor. And again, really focusing on keeping girls in school. And right now the girls enrollment pretty much matches the boys. And so we're really proud of that and really trying to, again, see what we can do to further encourage girls to not drop out. The vulnerable times are going into junior secondary school, as well as sometimes throughout, you know, elementary school, they start to drop off, and we see big drop offs, you know, sometimes at JSS and SSS levels. So again, working on trying to figure out what do girls need so that they can stay in school. This was our income and expense from last year. If anybody has any questions.
Grants, events, unrestricted, unrestricted. What does restricted mean?
Have you looked at
You go
how
to the-
your percentages of expenses compare to similar organizations? Because you spend a lot of money, I know, on your programs.
Not exactly, no. No, we
Okay.
have not. Just trying to use the funds that we get, you know, as wisely and send it over to Sierra Leone as much as we can. So, and
Since
then
you do
also,
so
you know,
well, those numbers would be reassuring to people. I'm sure they'd look good.
well, thank you. It's hard running a small organization and wanting to hire and keep, you know, good staff. You know, you need to pay, you know, decent salaries as well. So this has become much more than just a volunteer organization. So we have to pay the bookkeepers and the data people and finance and now Allison. So you know, we're again trying to figure out how to keep our overhead costs as low as possible. But you know, unfortunately, we can't be a volunteer organization completely anymore. But we are trying to make sure that, you know, we do send the money over to Sierra Leone as much as possible. So thank you, Ken.
Should I move on, Cindy?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
oh, go ahead, Cindy.
No, I was just going to say, now that we're at the more data part, I'm handing it over to Allison because she's been doing a deep dive into all the data that we've been collecting over the last few years, and really trying to focus even more on that now that we have her on board. And we had a volunteer actually last fall and the beginning of this year who really worked hard to kind of collect some of this data. So go for it.
So I like Cindy said, I've been digging deep into the data that we have. I have to give kudos to Megan, who was our volunteer. She was in Sierra Leone for several months working with our partners and put together this really impressive spreadsheet that we'll be able to continue to update and like to use, which is laying a really good foundation so that we can talk about our work through our numbers. But I also want to preface that this is like one part of the story. It doesn't, numbers are numbers. They're really good to have. And I think they do, tell us things, but they also don't always tell us the full picture of all the great work that our partners and our teachers and everybody on the ground in these communities that are doing in Sierra Leone. So, but this project that I've been working on to kind of like think through, all the information we have and what does it tell us has really been quite interesting. So I wanted to present a little bit of it, and this is just the beginning. It's not perfect. There's still a lot of work to be done in this area, I think, but I think this is a really good starting point, and we'll be able to ask some of our partners a lot of good questions from the information that they've been giving us. So you guys already know we have 43 school buildings right now. We're currently supporting 39 of them. Some of them have moved on and are supported by other organizations or other people, or we've stopped support for various reasons. So we're in 9 of the 16 districts, which I think is really impressive. And to date, I know this number we in our impact report, we said, we had over 15,000, but the number is actually closer to 17,000, which I think is really interesting. So 16,491 students have been enrolled in our school, are currently enrolled in our schools. But we can see I think like this graph is important to show because it really shows the growth of where we've been in the last, several years, especially since 2017. The 2021-2022 number is 8,000, and it is a little less this year, but I think that reflects a few of those schools dropping off that we're no longer supporting. So that number would be lower. But you can see how we have been able to grow as we've had more schools, as we've had more students. Yeah. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I just wanted to kind of give you like a little snapshot of what we've been kind of seeing. So this amazing spreadsheet, which is like kind of what we've been working on, we're able to really like, break out the students between, who are primary school students, who are GSS students, who are SS students, how much enrollment we have for boys and girls in all 3 of these areas as well. And so we can kind of see how those enrollment numbers, fluctuate throughout the years. But 73% of our students right now are primary schools kids. And like I said, we've had pretty steady growth since 2017, as you can see. And so we know that our kids are returning to school, or that our schools are attracting new students and hopefully keeping them there, which is great. I think the more interesting numbers to me are the JSS and SS numbers and how quickly they are growing. So this just says that we're going to have higher demand, especially in our existing communities where we have primary schools, for JSS and SS classes. Or finding out where do our kids go from primary school? Is there a JSS school within their area? Is there not? So like finding out what are they doing after, once they pass the MPSE, the exam, where are they going? And what are they doing? So that's kind of the next step in this project after we, when we're in Sierra Leone, to talk to our partners more about, what's next for these students in our primary schools, who has GSS schools available to them, who doesn't, and just kind of get a better picture of what the next step of their educational career looks like. So am I talking too fast? Yes, no, good, okay. So like I said, we have all this data that is, all the enrollment numbers are broken out via girls and boys for each class at each individual school, which is really interesting. So, you know, our impact report mentioned that we have been either matching or outpacing girls enrollment to boys in 22 to 23, because that was what we're talking about last year, which is really great. But you'll notice that for this year, we have quite a drop off in primary school student girls for this year. So like that prompts me to ask questions like, do we just not have incomplete data? What is the reason behind this? Is this hopefully this won't be a trend moving forward. But it just, I think, is really good information to have. I think what's also really interesting and really great is that our JSS numbers for girls, again, this is the JSS and SS is when I would say that girls are more likely to drop out of school. These numbers have either completely like outpaced the boys or they've matched it as well. So we're keeping our JSS girls in school, which is really important and really speaks to the wonderful work that like Umantalk and Juliet's team is really doing on the ground. So yeah. Questions so far? Good? Yeah. Before I move on to talk about teachers, we do have a lot of information about our exam results. So schools have been submitting exam results for the MPSE, the Becky, and the WAS. It's just something I'm still digging into a little bit. And I know we need to do a better job at collecting, excuse me, information for the the senior secondary exams, because we have relatively complete 50-50 complete data. So we'll kind of be working more closely with those schools to make sure we get that information so we can really see what the academic performances of our schools are, especially at that senior secondary level and junior secondary. And then we have a lot more MPSE primary school exam numbers, which is good. But I'm still doing kind of some analysis on that. So we'll present those hopefully over time. But I thought the teacher certification data was really interesting and tells just this really shows a challenge that we have. I mean, not only for Schools for Salone, but really the entire educational system in Sierra Leone. This is a really big challenge. So right now we have 69% of our teachers are not paid. And that number, it seems like very jarring. 69% is a high number to me. But if you break that down, it just shows, if you break it down a little bit in this top chart, it kind of tells a little bit of a different story. So we have 31% of our teachers have a PIN code. That means they're certified and the Ministry of Education is paying them. 17%, which would be the 17% of those teachers are certified. So they're trained teachers, but they are not being paid by the government yet. So they're not on the payroll, so they're not being paid. We have 24% of our uncertified teachers are in some sort of training. So they're doing our distance learning program, or they're gaining that certification, which is critical if they want to get on the government payroll. And then 28% of our teachers are uncertified, not in a training program. So it just kind of shows this is a big challenge. But one space that we can really help is to help our uncertified teachers become certified in some way, because they will not be on the government payroll unless they're certified. So this is a space that Schools for Salone can really support our teachers and help them gain, important professional development opportunities so that they can eventually get on the government payroll, hopefully very soon. So yeah. Any questions about this so far? Hopefully it wasn't too confusing.
Julie, did you have
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So why are there 17% of teachers that are certified and not being paid? Where's the bottleneck there, please?
So they have not obtained a PIN code from the Ministry of Education. So they're waiting to get that PIN code from the ministry itself. So, and they won't get paid until they have their PIN code.
I understand that, and I know that it's not about you at all. It's just is there no funding available with the government to give these people their PIN codes so they can be paid? I'm just curious, what's the bottleneck of
my understanding is that, yeah, there's only supposedly money for a certain number of PIN codes. And that it's very difficult to add more PIN codes for whatever reason. So again, it's one of those glitches in the system in Sierra Leone that I was talking to somebody today, we're going to talk to Joseph and some of our other partners to find out, is there anything more that we can be doing to, once we've paid for the certification for these teachers to become certified, how do we get that PIN code? Is there anything that we can do to encourage that? But it's, as you can imagine, it's complicated. There's probably politics involved. There's probably some money involved to try to get that happen.
Yeah.
To happen.
Okay, thanks. That's what I
But
figured.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
it's challenging.
yeah, yeah.
And just to this has been a long-term problem. I mean, this was an issue that was, I was in Sierra Leone from 2010 2012 as a teacher, a Peace Corps volunteer, and this was something they were still talking about. So I know it's gotten much better over the years, but it's a huge problem that will take time to resolve, which is, it sucks. It's challenging. Yeah. So,
Alison, do you know
But-
what the teachers get paid from the government right now? Does anybody know that, what their monthly salary is, if they have a PIN and they get paid?
that is a great question.
It's a great question. I think it obviously depends on if you just have a teaching certificate, a TC, or if you have an HTC, which is a higher teaching certificate, or if you have a Bachelor of Education, a BEd. So exactly what those salaries, if you will, are, I'm not sure. My guess is it's probably not much more than like $100 for the teaching certificate for the lowest level, but please don't quote me on that, but I know it's pretty appalling, I think, how little these teachers are paid, and and they need to get second jobs to help support their families.
I know.
A lot of them.
That's the biggest problem, to keep them motivated in the school if they only get, and these are then the teachers with a certificate. So you can imagine, I know that from our school, that just because of our own budget, that they get like $50 a month, which is a bag of rice right now. So of course I know
it's a bag of rice.
It's awfully not sufficient. But at the other hand, if there's not funding and teachers, they cannot pay it, and these are indeed, some of them have kind of a certificate, none of them have a bachelor's. And how many teachers will have a bachelor's in the schools that we are having? That would be a very interesting other research, and I know you're overloaded as it is, but like, what kind of quality teachers do we have? Well, we have then the PIN, but among the PIN, who of them have what? And these, when do you get the PIN? What kind of levels? I mean, that's a lot of questions, but I'm so interested in to see, like, if we want to raise the level of education, as you all know, even when kids come out of school, very often they still cannot read. And that's not because they haven't gone through the mill, but because they haven't had the quality education. And that's, what I'm looking at the school, my main concern, like sustainability, like we talked about the last time, but also the quality of education. Just having somebody in the class who might be reading doesn't mean that they are, can bring this over. And that's, I'm sure you all know this, but it would be interesting to maybe while you're at there, maybe ask around, what are the salaries, what are they based on, what does the government pay? I've also heard that the government at the moment doesn't pay. The situation in Sierra Leone is quite grave, payment-wise, so even salaried teachers don't get paid by the government then. So, and that's of course an incredible demotivation factor for these people. And then they go and do second jobs, or they're going to try to get money from wherever, and then of course, and again,
goes on.
Education pays. So that's maybe if you're there, these are things that you can just ask a little bit around. But that's what I think right now, 1,000 new leones, which is the equivalent to a 50, because we cannot afford more than $500 for 10 teachers. So
And Rick,
But
that's such a good point about that nuance within the certification itself. That's a great point. I think, yeah, we'll bring that up with Joseph. And,
yeah.
now that we are we're creating a system that we can gather data more efficiently. I think that could be something that I think we can easily gather, at least at the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
What's your certification level within those certified teachers at your school?
Right.
Um,
And what
that would
should
be
we aim
highly
for?
interesting.
What should we
Right.
aim for as the lowest to have a chance to have the
Right.
school supported by the government? Because that
Right.
would of course be a
Right.
huge one, because which community can afford to pay
Right.
all the teachers a reasonable salary? So thank you if
Yeah.
you would,
Right.
and I know you probably have a whole program, but I'm really interested in knowing that
Yeah.
and helping with that. Yeah, thank you.
And
Yeah.
like I said at the beginning, this is just I'm really grateful for Megan to kind of laying this foundation, because it was an enormous lift to get this kind of data put together in the onset. So now we can decide and what additional information we need, what's no longer relevant, and kind of really hone it to how we want to use it, I guess. So for me as a new person, I've been with the organization, Cindy, 2 months. This is
2
really
months.
fast to kind of look at, where we've been and where we want to go. So I'm excited to chat about it with our partners. So with Clinton and Joseph for sure. So
Yeah, thank you.
and I can, one thing we are working on too, and many of you have funded schools and are supporting schools. So we have data on every single individual school. And so we can create reports and we can give you a snapshot of your school's specific performance according to the data, of course, over the years. So that's something we'll be working on in the next year or so. So be looking for that.
Yeah. Allison has started working on putting together those individual school reports for those of you who have funded a school or helped make a school possible. So we hope to get those to you in the coming months. So stay tuned. So
Well done. Thank you.
yeah. Go ahead, Allison.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
where we're going.
Where we're going.
Where we're going, we want to complete the Musa. Well, the Musaya School is done. So we want to open it. We're going to open it next week. I can't believe we're going to be there, Cindy. So it can open for students in the next academic year. And we want to get the Pentagon School done so we can have students as well, hopefully in the next academic year as well. So that'd be 24-25. Of course, we'll always continue to reevaluate and make sure that our current schools and those schools that are a little bit older are safe spaces for kids to go. So if we need to refurbish anything, that we're always looking at that, because that is important that they have a great place to go to school at. The Learning Foundation is continuing to do some really interesting work, and so we'll continue to support them and hopefully get more information on what the impact of their teacher training is having, especially on those lower grades, primary school grades in the future. So we'll continue to support Talk. We have some really exciting things happening with them that we're still putting together. So you'll be hearing a lot of pretty exciting stuff with their work in the next year as well. And then continuing to expand our library access to all of our communities with Cellbot in the next year. And then of course, I will be working on this data stuff. I'm not a data analyst, everybody, either. So I'm trying my best, just to preface that as well. I've been really inspired the last couple of months about all the really great opportunities I think that are coming down, in the last few months, just of the great opportunities our partners are going to be having between Schools for Salone and them, and then other opportunities that we're helping, supporting them to kind of go after. So I think there's going to be some really great stuff happening in 2024. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Did I miss anything, Cindy?
I think you've done a great job. Yeah, no, we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up, and we're just really excited. Allison and I leave on Thursday, so just in a few days, to travel to Sierra Leone. We're going to meet in Chicago in person for the first time, and then travel together, and she'll get to meet all of our partners and we're going to do a whirlwind trip up to the far north to Kabbalah area, around Tonkalili and down to Bow and around, and visit Pentagon, as well as one or two other Western area schools. So we're going to be on the move, and we're of course starting our visit in Sierra Leone with a visit to the U.S. Embassy on Monday morning to meet the current ambassador.
Good.
And then we're trying to find a time to meet with Peace Corps also, because with the lovely executive director there, program director, because I think there's some strong possibilities to collaborate with Peace Corps as well moving ahead. So yeah. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
WhatsApp audio.
Yeah, I had a question on the, still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Thought I was gone. Had a question on the girls' vocational school. What skills or trades are taught at that school?
It is catering, carpentry, tailoring. I'm trying to remember what the other ones were. Fairly traditional life skills there. I don't remember the rest of them off the top of my head, but I know tailoring, carpentry, catering, and there were a couple more. I can't remember right now, but I will get back to you, Greg.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Secretarial?
I don't think that's one of them.
Okay.
That would be a good vocational training to be able to do up there. So yeah.
We did get to see the room that had all the sewing machines in it.
That's the tailoring.
Allison, do you want to stop sharing? Sorry,
I just
go ahead.
Question again, are there many girls' vocational schools in the country?
No, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know how many there are, but not that I'm aware of. We do help support another vocational center down in the Bow area in Corobundo, but it's not exclusively girls. This school was a FAWE school, which stands for, somebody help me here, Federation of African Women Educators, I think. So it's a
Yes.
fairly established women's organization that supports education and girls' education in Africa. So and this school was started, I forget what year, but it was an existing school, and we came in and they needed new classrooms, and they needed refurbishing of some of their classrooms because they were in pretty poor shape.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Great questions.
Cindy and Allison, I really like the way you've retooled the mission statement and broken it into those three kind of functional pillars. I like that. That works.
Thank you. Well, next, like I said, Thursday we leave, and then James Manna, who's one of our board members, longstanding board members, who's also on this call, will be joining us in Sierra Leone in about a week with his wife Pam, and so we're looking forward to being there together and visiting his school. But it's always nice to have James and Pam along to help be part of the meetings that we have with our partners on the ground. So
Have a wonderful trip.
well, thank you. We look forward to reporting back. So
Allison, is this your first time back since you were a volunteer, or have you been there back before?
I haven't been back to Sierra Leone since 2012, so I'm interested to see how things have changed. Like I said, I was in Liberia in between, but it doesn't count. Yeah. I'm especially excited about the food. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, make sure you get some good food.
Good drinking and
Yeah.
safe travels, and I hope you both stay healthy. That's also a challenge always when you travel.
And seeing old
Okay.
friends
best.
too.
And a hectic schedule.
Exactly.
So I hope you stay healthy and can do all the things you want to do.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
update and sharing all the wonderful progress and things
Yeah.
that you've done.
Mhm.
Makes it real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for helping to make it all possible because it definitely takes a village. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for being part of our village. So again, feel free to reach out to us. I'm Cindy at Schools for Salone or info at Schools for Salone or Allison S or Joanna M, so we're here whenever you would like to reach out and have questions or comments, suggestions on how we can do things better. Please let us know.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you
Okay,
so
thank
much.
you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a
Okay.
great trip.
Take care.